Hi there, Nancy Mueller here. Welcome to another Life is All About Choices. I am very excited to bring you my special guest today. Her name is Tamsin, and we are going to be talking about the energy of money. So you definitely want to stick around and check this out. Tamsin, yay, welcome to Life is All About Choices.
Thank you, Nancy. It's wonderful to be here.
So before we go any farther, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're so fabulous?
Well, I'll answer the first question. The last question first. I think I'm fabulous just because I am, and I think we all are.
Woo!
Everybody is awesome just by being here. We don't have to do anything special to be able to say, I have achieved X, Y, Z, therefore I'm awesome. We are absolutely amazing people without that. We don't have to prove ourselves with anything. But I'm Tamsin Young. I live in Perth, Western Australia, and I am by training an accountant. I'm a CPA, Certified Practicing Accountant, and I've worked in the accounting field for many, many years. And while I've been studying and working in that practical area, I've always had this interest in the esoterical, the alternative, the holistic field, whatever you want to call it. And I've studied many different modalities. I've done reflexology, aromatherapy, feng shui, intuitive intelligence, all sorts of things that I've studied. If there's a course out there, I've probably done it. And I've never thought that these two could actually belong together. It's that they're just opposites. And they are opposites. But like the yin and yang, they actually work together. You can't have one without the other. And it was a few years back when I was doing some studying in what would you call it? She called it psychic, but not so much psychic, but that intuitive work, that the lady said to me, why don't you combine your work of practical accounting, practical money side of things, with the intuitive side of things? And I thought, maybe there's something in that. And so I've gone down that path now and looked at how can I help people with it. And my belief is that energy first, physical second. So if you don't work on your energetic side, your mindset, and that side of things with your life, money is just a tool. We all want money, but we don't want money because we want to have a whole stack of money to look at. We want money for what it will give us, the experiences it will give us, the things we can buy, etc. And it is the most wonderful tool for being able to highlight where we've got resistance to growing and allowing ourselves to be that fantastic, most awesome person that we were talking about right in the beginning, because we hold ourselves back. We think we're not good enough. We think, oh, who am I to be able to do that? And if you know that Marianne Williamson quote where we think, oh, I can't shine my light. Meantime, that is what we're here to do. We're here to shine a light. We're here to live our best life, not just to be an inspiration to others, but that can be an inspiration to others to go, oh, wow, look where she's at. I want some of that. From that part of thinking, oh, I can't do it because I'm, whatever our story is, wherever we've come from, whatever our experience is that says, oh, you don't deserve to have that, you don't deserve to do that. We can go, well, she overcame that obstacle, she overcame that resistance. Maybe I can too. So from that perspective, we're not living our life to be an inspiration to somebody else. We're living our life to have a fantastic life. But by living our best life, we can inspire others to do the same thing.
Amen, sister. And it's interesting because when you're talking about the energy of money, I think it was Gary Zukav's book I was reading. Don't quote me for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was that. He talks about the negative energy in relationships and lack of money is the same energetic frequency. And I remember when I read that thinking like, oh, spot on, because how you show up in your relationships is usually very similar to your relationship with money, wouldn't you say? Has that been your...
Absolutely. And look, depending on what field you work in, people will say how you eat is how you live, how you deal with your money is how you live, what your sex life is like is, reflects. So everything is interconnected. You can't go, oh, deal with your money. Money is just the tool. Money is the avenue that I work through. Depending on where you're feeling the pain in your life, depends on who you're going to go and look at. If you have a weight issue and you want to do something about creating a healthy lifestyle, you will go and look for someone who's going to help you with your weight, eating healthier, incorporating exercises. The same issues, the same resistances will probably come up, or the stories that are holding you back, the emotional attachment to stories that are holding you back from living your fullest life will come up through doing the work through that avenue. So it doesn't really matter whether it's relationships and trying to find your perfect person that you want to fall in love with, because if you don't change, you're not going to find that best relationship. It always comes back to the self. It always comes back to, what can I do? Who do I need to become to be able to live that life? It's not about, oh, that person's really painful, or it's the economy, and therefore because the economy's depressed and I can't get a job. People have made money in depressions. People have lost money in a booming economy. So the economy is just the story we tell ourselves. There's always opportunity out there. That money is always out there. We choose whether we are open to receive it or not.
Absolutely. And including the relationship with other people, it's really important to think about relationship with self. Like how are you keeping your word to yourself? I did a Facebook video today, and I talked about betrayal. Have you ever been betrayed? And then I took it a step further and I said, have you ever betrayed yourself? Have you ever promised yourself you were going to do something like stop drinking or drink less or less self-medication or get healthier? And every single time you break that promise, break that promise, break that promise. Well, if it was another person in your life who was continually breaking that promise, hopefully you would get out of that relationship. But you can't get out of the relationship with yourself unless you're willing to go within and look at how you have a relationship with yourself. And that energy of how you have a relationship with yourself and others is the same energy, the way that money flows. And I remember when I read that, I was like, oh man, yeah, that is so good. That is such a great way, a great analogy. That was what I thought.
Absolutely. And it's it always comes back to you. As I say, you can't run away. Wherever you go, there you are. Mm-hmm. So and as I said earlier, you can only change yourself.
Right.
You become a better person by going within. We all have that wisdom within. So it's not like if somebody comes to work with me, it's not like I am going to be their oracle and tell them all the answers that they want to hear. I prefer to teach them how to fish, that they can actually go out there, because this isn't a come to me and I'll wave a magic wand and you'll walk away and your life will be perfect for the rest of your life. There are always things to do. We are always on the path. It's a journey. It's not a case of, oh, when I've sorted out all my problems, all my issues, then my life will be perfect, because whatever you're looking for, you're going to keep finding. So you're always going to find problems to work on and issues to work with. So it's a case of, where do I want to go? Focusing on the goals that we want to achieve, the feeling state we want to have. The feeling state is the most important thing. Yes. If you go around feeling depressed and down and kind of thing, well, guess what you're going to attract? Whereas when you go out there, whatever your core feelings are that you want to do, if you can bring that into your day, if you can bring that into your relationships, if you can bring that towards your money. People talk about, probably the most common feeling people want to have is freedom. Now, freedom is a wonderful word. You have to know what freedom means to you.
Right.
And then how do you actually feel with money? Do you feel that you're bound to money, that you have to act in certain ways to be able to get it? You have to be a certain person. You can't be yourself in a certain relationship, whether it's at work or whether it's in a family relationship or whatever, because otherwise you won't get your money. So again, you're not being true to yourself. As you mentioned, you're betraying yourself by not being true, not being honest. When you open up and you allow those beautiful, expansive feelings into your life, that's when you're going to be in a receiving state. So we deal with the problems, but not by looking for them. Those problems will come along and we will have experiences to to help us work through them. And we'll be, I'll use the word tested, but the universe will give us opportunities to say, okay, is this what you want, or is that what you want?
Right.
Do you really mean you want it to change, or do you really just want to stay where you are? And we get to make the choices.
Yeah. And I was thinking, like, just like if you were in a relationship with another person and you're really excited about that relationship, I mean, you'd be talking about it, you'd be sharing it with your friends, you'd be, talking about it. But when it comes to a relationship with money, we kind of clam up. We don't even want to say the word. We use the word abundant or prosperous, like, ooh, I don't want to talk about money. That's gauche. Or, people can think I'm bragging, and it's like, be loud and proud about your relationship with money, just like you're loud and proud about your relationship with your kids or your family or your whatever, And
Absolutely.
It's so important to accept money, love money, love what money can do for you, and like really understand your vibrational energetic level when it comes to money. Where are you? And if you have that conversation with yourself and you're like, oh, I'm fine, money will be there when I need it, and then you just say those mantras to yourself, like, money comes freely and easily and blah 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 blah, and you don't let yourself have a relationship with money. Well, hello, if you didn't let yourself have a relationship with your significant other, I don't think they'd stick around very long.
Absolutely. And there was a quote I saw the other day about changing the fact that we like to talk about our problems and not about our joy. And again, as I've just spoken about, if we're going to keep focusing on the problems, guess what's going to keep appearing in our life?
Right.
There's a thing about talking about your joy, whether it's talking about money or not. You shouldn't be talking about all the good stuff. You've got to wait for the other shoe to fall off. It's not going to last forever. What goes up must come down. So we go, oh, okay, yes, instead of celebrating the moment, yeah, maybe things will have a little bit of a dip. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It's an experience that we have to go through, and you can still feel freedom. You can still be joyful through those challenges in life. Just because you've got some kind of a challenge in your life doesn't mean you suddenly have to become depressed.
Right.
It's looking at how can you bring those core feelings into your day-to-day life, because even though you may be on a spiritual path, even though you may work with your energy, it doesn't mean that suddenly the golden road just opens up ahead of you and you just have this magical life moving forward. You still have those challenges. It's how you deal with them that makes a difference.
Yeah, I see it like the ocean waves, they go out and then they come back, and they go out and they come back, and sometimes they go out and whoosh, you catch the wave to surf on, and then sometimes it's not a big wave, and just ride the wave. What is the wave? So,
absolutely.
Okay, so life is all about choices. Everyone that I have a conversation with, we talk about something monumental, something in your life that you went through. And I think it's important to share these things because it's important for people to know you're the money lady. You're talking about the energy of money. And somebody's listening to this and they're saying, well, it's all well and good for her. She's got all the money in the world. She's an accountant. She's got all this metaphysical information and she knows how to make money work for her. Me, I am like stuck in the poorhouse. She just doesn't get my life and everything. Her life is beautiful. My life sucks. So it's important for people to know that you also went through some challenging times and you came through it, and how you came through it. Now that you're on the other side, you're using that experience to help you motivate, inspire, and empower others. Can you share a little bit about that?
Okay. I've probably got a couple, but I'll focus on the one. One of my pet hates is that saying of giving is better than receiving. And how everybody wants to just give and do things for people, which is a wonderful trait. I'm not saying that, we must never give to people again and just take. But women are traditionally very open-hearted and they're always wanting to help people. It's just part of their nurturing traits that we have, and that's wonderful. And a few years ago, 2 years ago, my husband was involved in quite a serious accident. And as I said, I live in Perth. This accident happened in Darwin. It's about a 4 or 5 hour plane trip from where I am. And I flew up to be with him there. and leaving my 2 adult children here on their own. They'd never been on their own before. So I was kind of caught between, do I stay with them and support them through this, or am I with my husband and support him? So I went up there and I had people just keeping an eye on them to see that they were okay from an emotional perspective. And a lady contacted me and said, can I help in any way? And she said, can I organize I'll call it a meal train. I can't think of what she actually called it. A meal roster, that people could put their names down and they could prepare a meal for us and bring that to us on a daily basis between Monday to Friday. You know, the weekends would have more time available. So because I'm not particularly a domestic goddess, I don't spend much time in the kitchen and I'm not particularly good at cooking, I thought, this sounds perfect, thank you. And we organized it to be, we thought, oh, in 2 weeks' time we would be back at home and that would be great, you know, helping us settle in. As it turned out, I had come back. I'd spent 2 weeks up in Darwin. I came back home, and then they phoned to say, right, he will be released at the end of that week. So I had to fly back up and bring him back down again. But these meals started arriving, and we would leave this cooler box outside our front door, and every day somebody would come and put a meal into the box for us. And the feelings that you go through, it's quite a range. It's almost like a whole range of feelings of, oh, that's wonderful. And then there's this guilt of, oh my God, you know, what am I going to do as a thank you? How am I going to thank this person? I can't possibly take this from somebody else. You know, somebody else has put this time and energy into it, etc., etc. And I was like, I've got to do a thank you note for everybody and leave it there. I've got to find a little gift and leave it in there for them. And, you know, I was making this such a big issue instead of just taking it and going, thank you, and enjoying it. I got there eventually, that of just accepting it and going, wow, that's amazing. Because I got to the stage where I would say, if I was doing this for somebody else, what would I be expecting them to do for me? Would I be expecting them to come and knock on my door and go, oh, Tamsin, thank you, you're so wonderful, you this, you that, you know, sending me flowers and chocolates and whatever? No, I wouldn't. I would be doing it because I would understand what they're going through, that you don't have that mental capacity, that emotional capacity. I didn't have to think, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? Have I got the ingredients? Have I got the energy to actually cook the meal? Because when my husband came back to Perth, he was in hospital for another 3 weeks. So the evenings were spent going down and visiting him and all that. So, you know, so I didn't have the time or space to do it apart from dealing with the whole accident and all that. So that whole concept of actually learning to receive is a powerful one. Yes. Because I believe that you cannot give without somebody receiving.
Right.
And in receiving, you're actually giving. You're giving the person who is giving that beautiful feeling that we have when we do give. So I like to look at giving and receiving as being the infinity sign. Yes. And it's, you know, what goes out comes back in again. What goes out comes back in again. And we have to replenish our own cup. You know, people talk a lot about self-care and filling your own cup. The oxygen mask, if you're on a plane and there's going to be an accident, you put your own mask on first. And that's what it's all about, is allowing yourself to receive. Because if you can't receive those little things that the universe is sending you to help you, how are you going to be open to even more abundance, more money, you know, dare I say the word? How are you going to allow that to come to you if you don't allow yourself to receive? If you're always giving to everybody, you're just going to be depleting your resources and not be in the best space to be able to receive. And you're going to limit yourself as to how you can receive, because we tell the universe how we're going to get our money. We say, right, I want to earn X thousand dollars this year, and I'm going to get it from my job. Mm-hmm. Who says that you have to earn all that money from the job? Who says that you can't win a competition and win a car? Right. And that's, I don't know, 10, 20, 50, depending on the car, $1,000 worth that you have received. You've received it in value. You may not have had the hard cash coming into your bank account and then going out to pay for it. We can receive things in so many ways, and we don't acknowledge them and we don't appreciate them. So that ability to receive is so important. And, you know, the quote, ask and you will receive. We spend a lot of time asking and we don't take the time to receive. And if we don't take the time to receive the little things, the penny that we see on the street and we pick up, we go, well, how's a penny going to help me? No, all I get is a little penny. We go, oh, wow, it's a penny. Money comes to me in all ways.
Right.
If I can get a penny, I can get $10,000. I can be open to that. I can be open to the experiences. And you can have those experiences that light up your life without you having to pay for them. It can happen both ways. It doesn't matter which way it goes,
Right.
but we need to be open to how those things, how we create our perfect life. We have to be open to it happening in any way. If we decide we know what's the best option, then that's when we have problems, and the universe doesn't love me, and I'm all alone. The law of attraction, it only works for other people. I'm not good enough. You see, look, the world hates me. When really what we're doing is we're dictating the rules, and the universe doesn't work like that. It has got a much bigger perspective of what it can see for us, for our potential, the opportunities. So have those desires, have those wishes, and be open. It doesn't mean you sit there and meditate all day and wait for the universe to knock on the door and say, oh, here we go, you wanted that, here it is.
Right.
We spend that time cultivating our energy, cultivating our appreciation, being open. And as I say, it doesn't mean we can't give either, but it's that whole give and take. Everything's a cycle. It doesn't mean you have to go through bad times to have good times. There can always be enough,
Mm-hmm. I think too, it's how people would pay attention to how they accept a compliment or don't accept a compliment, because somebody will say, oh, you look nice today. And if people would just start paying attention to how they accept a compliment, oh, thanks, this whole thing, it's like if someone took the time to notice something about you and they compliment you, just say thank you and take it in.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Even if you just silently in your head say, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You give, I receive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's keeping your mindset in that receiving. And if you're challenged with receiving, start looking for places where you can receive. And it's everywhere when someone holds the door for you. For so many years, men used to hold the door open for women. Then women said, we don't need men to hold the door open for us, and so we're not going to do that. And now, of course, there's mixed messages everywhere. Poor men, they don't know whether to hold the door or not hold the door or whatever. But just think about it. It doesn't matter who holds the door. But if somebody holds the door open for you or opens the door for you, how do you receive that? Do you totally understand that that is a gift that they are giving and you're receiving? How do you receive it? And something as small as that, it's like the signs are everywhere. We usually aren't taught to pay attention to the signs, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's the same thing with when we do give. Now, nobody would think that when you're paying your bills that you're giving. It's just like, oh, it's bill time again. Oh, it's another bill, either in your mailbox or sometimes now it's just come straight into your email.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might have a direct debit and the money just goes out your bank. And there's this resentment of paying for this, whatever expense it might be, even going to your groceries. Oh, can you see, last week I came in and I spent $100. I just bought the same things and it's $150. The cost of inflation, etc., etc. Instead of looking at it as, oh, wow, the power to run my house, the internet connection that I have. Wow, isn't that an amazing facility that I have that I can pay for? Somebody has come up with this idea that I can have this most amazing internet. I mean, 20, 30 years ago, when it was dial-in and it was very slow, and we didn't have this ability to connect with people around the world. I mean, technology has come so far.
Right.
And, I think about our parents and what they had with probably from the stage of not having a phone to now then having the phone where you had to dial and, those sort of things. And now that you can carry it and be anywhere in the world, it's incredible. And we forget about that. We forget about the joy of when we are spending our money. If you are making conscious choices of how you spend your money, and there are things that light you up and there are things that you want to do, and you're not just going and doing some retail therapy and trying to block down some emotions, then yes, you are going to feel that guilt and that shame of, look what I've done. But if we can change our attitude to when we're paying bills and go, and just spend that 5 seconds in appreciation of, thank you. Thank you for my power. Thank you for my phone. Thank you for my internet. Thank you for my TV that I get, instead of complaining, or my taxes. Yes, absolutely. I'm sure we could sit here and we could knock our governments for everything that they do wrong and what they don't provide for and how they don't help certain people. But what about all those things that they do?
Right.
Of course there are things wrong with it. Of course there are things wrong with our medical system here. But I can also tell you it's an absolutely amazing system, that the care that my husband got is second to none, and, you know, absolutely incredible. And you want to talk about receiving. It didn't cost us a single cent for him for the medical treatment that he got because of our public health care.
Awesome.
Absolutely phenomenal. And yes, I have contributed to that over the years with the taxes that I've paid. So I go, you know what, thank you. My taxes have come back to me in one way or another. They don't have to come back in a specific way. You know, that money goes towards education, money goes towards old age, whatever. Our children didn't go through the school education system. We home educated our children. So the government didn't help educate my children. And I don't go, well, I lost out at that you didn't give me my however many $1,000s they would spend on a child being educated.
Right.
But they've more than made up for it with the medical assistance that we've had through the system. So, you know, we all receive in different ways. If you allow yourself to, as I say, the care that we receive, the people in the hospitals, absolutely phenomenal, beautiful people. And as I say, I'm just eternally grateful for the help that he had and the support that he had. And the people are there, they are always there. Yes, there will be problems with systems, absolutely. But there is also so much joy and appreciation that we can have. And the people are out there who are willing to help us if we are willing to put our hand out and say, yes, please, I need your help. You may not have to come here and sort out all my problems. Even just being there to hold me while I go through whatever the issue is can make a big difference. Just being there for people can make a big difference.
You know, several years ago, my brother was in a motorcycle accident, and he's in a nursing home with severe traumatic brain injury. He doesn't know who any of us are, and just normal everyday functions. He, you know, he can't take care of himself. And every time I visit him in the nursing home, I am so eternally grateful for the staff, because I know that we could not care for him at home because of the level of care that he needs. And it would be easy to say, you didn't do this today, or you didn't do that today. But I never allow myself to go there. You know, I thank them all the time. I say, do I thank you guys enough? Do I tell you guys how much I love you? I you know, you just mean so much to me. Thank you. Because it takes a special kind of person, you know, to be there day in and day out and taking care of this stuff. And, you know, when I think about the times where I miss my brother so much, and then I think, but I'm so eternally grateful that there are people that are taking care of him. He's safe, he's warm, he's comfortable, he smiles. You can tell that he loves the nursing staff. His face lights up when certain nurses walk in. And for that, I am so eternally grateful. And I am in gratitude for everybody that takes care of him. And, you know, it's like we can either choose to concentrate on something that we think isn't going right, or we can, you know, choose to concentrate on being thankful. Thankful
Absolutely.
that this is this way. It could have been worse, or, you know, something like that.
Yeah. And, you know, you bring up an interesting point, and sometimes it is good to look at those issues that are niggling at us and that we go, oh, blah, 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 and work through some exercises of forgiveness, of clearing that resistance, of, you know, that annoyance, that resentment that we might have of whatever isn't there. Because sometimes it can be very easy to stuff those feelings down, and that this is where a lot of our issues come from, in that we've had an experience when we were younger, and that's created a belief of this is how the world operates. And you've made that decision as a little 4-year-old and decided, oh, okay, you've gone into the kitchen and asked your mom for some cookies, and she's just received some bad news, and she turns around and she shouts at you. So the story that you tell yourself is asking for something means people get angry.
Right.
And, sometimes we do need to unpack that
Yes.
and clear it and remove the emotional attachment, because that then allows us to open up and receive. So it's not a case of ignoring it and going, oh, I'm not going to deal with that because those are negative feelings. We don't want to sit there and wallow in those negative feelings 24/7. But when they come up, they can be gold for what are the things that are stopping me from opening up to receiving all the abundance. So they do have a purpose, and they can help us. But yes, you absolutely don't want to sit there all day, every day, looking for them and trying to clear them. We want to focus on where we want to be, and we want to have that open heart and that gratitude. And as you say, there are people out there who are, they're basically the angels on earth.
Yes, absolutely. And when you were talking, I was also thinking about allowing things to come into your life. As you do the inner work, it's so important to do the inner work, to understand like your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. What comes up for you when you are not receiving? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? What are the beliefs that are going through your head all the time? What is those thoughts that you're thinking 96% of the time, yesterday, today, tomorrow? And so we're responsible for that, because nobody else can get inside of our head and know what we're saying. They can only know what we're thinking based on what we tell them. And of course, usually when we tell people something, it's based on how we want them to hear it, how we want them to think of us. We filter everything. So when you start to understand that everything is like an inside job, you have to take 100% responsibility for everything. Every choice you make, every thought you think, every decision you make, and then every consequence based on every choice that you make. And when you really start to see that, then you start to realize, oh, okay, so I can't blame anything on anybody, because it always comes back to me. How am I dealing with this? What am I saying? What am I not saying? How am I choosing to see how this works? And again, it's all about receiving. If you feel that you are not receiving something, whatever it is, in this case, money that we're talking about, okay, so you are responsible for your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. And what is the story that you're telling yourself over and over and over again? That's bottom line. That's what you need to do. And then are you, working with somebody and say, oh, I worked with this person to help my money issues and that didn't work. And I worked with that person and that they didn't help me. And hello, nobody else can do your push-ups for you. You still have to do the work. All we can do is, show you, guide you the way. And then you have to say, oh, okay, so now I need to do the internal work. But if you are used to doing the blame game, blaming everything else for where you are, there's so many adults who've created beliefs in childhood based on something they intuited or felt or thought or were told. And they bring it with them into adulthood, and they're walking around as adults making choices based on childhood beliefs.
Absolutely.
And they wonder why, everything is upside down and topsy-turvy in their life. And it's like, again, it's about doing the inner work. Go within and then look for someone to guide you, but not do it for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like holding that container, that space that they feel safe to unpack those things. Because again, not only do we filter what we tell someone, that person hearing you is going to filter it through their lens of perception as well, of their experiences. And of course, our job is to sit there and just not make those judgments. Oh, you had this experience. Yes, I had that same experience. And therefore make the assumption that it impacts you the same way as it impacted me. You can't do that. And I just I come from a family of 4 children, and I marvel at the difference between us. And you think, how can 4 people who are brought up in the same household be so different? But that's because, we all have our different personalities. We all have our different ways of dealing things. And I learned that I've only got 2 children. And when we had our daughter, we thought, we know all about parenthood. We know how to bring up children. Let's have another child, these brilliant ideas that you have. And you think you're just going to do the same thing with the next one that you did with the first one. So, of course, we did that. And it didn't take us very long to work out that what worked with our daughter didn't work with our son. And it was just a totally different way of raising them. Their needs were different, their interests were different. And home educating children, well, that is, if you want an education in yourself, home educate your children, because you learn so much. And the biggest lesson I probably learned there was to trust my children, trust that they know what they need, and give them those experiences. Because, of course, my daughter and my son weren't interested in the same thing. So it's finding those activities that support that one, finding those activities that support the other one. And that whole growth as well. Never compare your story to somebody else. Right. My son, for the first couple of years, was one of these ones, we couldn't get him out of his room. If we went anywhere, it would be, how long is it going to take to get there? And now, it was probably when he was about 16, 17, he suddenly came out of his shell and he wanted to be amongst people. He used to connect with them online. So, absolutely wonderful tool. But that gave him the space that he could go, I don't want to be with these people anymore, take his headphones off and go off and do something else. So, he had that freedom. And so when he moved into adulthood, suddenly he wanted to get out there. Now, he was given that space to be able to be himself, do himself. He wasn't forced into situations. Yes, we did take him to certain activities, but he was allowed to blossom at his own rate. And so often we feel we have to do things at the same pace as somebody else. We have to earn that first 100,000. We have to earn $1 million because that's, 7 figures or that's 6 figures, whatever the magical number is. What kind of life do you want to lead? How do you want it to be? Maybe you have no desire to buy anything. So if you don't know the lifestyle that you want, it's very easy to think that you're failing in life and these experiences, because you're comparing yourself to somebody who is a out there go-getter, wants to do everything, wants to climb every mountain, wants to travel and see every country in the world, and before they're age 30 or something. Whereas you're a homebody, you're happy sitting in your little house. You'd quite happily have a cottage in the forest with some Wi-Fi that you can be in touch with the world, but you'd be just happy sitting there communing with nature, having your little veggie garden and living off the land.
Right.
So you can't go, oh, I'm not successful because I haven't done these things. If those things don't light your fire, it doesn't matter. So it's really important to be able to define, what does success mean to you? And what does financial success mean to me?
Yes.
Because they aren't necessarily the same thing.
Absolutely. Tamsin, how do you guide someone when they come to you and they're so full of self-judgment about maybe they're not making the money that they want to make, and think, taking into consideration that you had the conversation with them that you just talked about, maybe you're not being realistic. So you get them to paint a realistic picture of how they want. But, if they're feeling guilty or self-judgment or criticizing themselves, like, how do you help walk them through that?
Okay. So this is where working with someone on a longer basis makes a massive difference, because sometimes we just want to go along, as I said earlier, you want to have one session and the magic's happened and Cinderella, my life's wonderful. But sometimes things take time. And it's being able to spend that time working out what you do want, because more often than not, people don't know what they want.
Right.
They just see the marketing, and marketing's wonderful, where it tells us, and it focuses on material items. And material items, I don't have a problem. I'm not saying go and live in a monastery and have nothing. But if you don't have the inner happiness, if you're not happy with who you are, if you don't know what brings you joy or what feelings you want to experience, it doesn't matter how much you have. You're never going to experience those feelings. So you need to know what kind of feelings you want to cultivate.
Right.
There is no, if I had to say, there are 5 feelings you have to have in your life. I could not sum it into 5 as to what everybody should have.
Right.
You can say, this is the most important feeling. No, it's not, because Somebody may feel totally different, and that's okay. So it's working out what is important to you, and then being able to define what that means in your life. Because I say your idea of freedom and my idea of freedom are going to be two different things. And you also have to take into account where you are in your life. Age 20, age 40, age 60, you're different people. You've had different experiences. And if we talk about life balance, what does that really mean? Again, do you have children? Have you just got married? Have you got young children? Have your children just left home? Your life balance is going to be totally different at each of those stages. So it's working out who you are, what you want to be doing, and then we start digging into the stories that you have about why you can't have that, why how you were brought up with money, what was your environment that you're in, what did your parents say, what have been your experiences? Because sometimes people have come from families of money. So it's easy to go, well, it's okay for you. You come from a wealthy family. But those people also have their problems.
Yes.
They've also had their things. Sometimes they just haven't been taught how to deal with it. The money was just there, and then suddenly they went out into the world, and they don't have any skills for dealing with it. And suddenly money just it comes in, but it goes out just as fast.
Right.
And that's where I like to bring the energetic side and the practical side, because being an accountant doesn't mean that I will automatically be wealthy. Yes, I have the theory, but I have the same energetic problems that everybody else has. I have to work through the same stuff of I'm not good enough, and I'm not deserving of this, and money doesn't grow on trees. Or I've heard the same stories as well. I might know exactly how to process it and what I should do, but I may not do that for exactly the same reasons that everybody else doesn't do it as well. So I'm not immune to all the problems just because I'm an accountant. So I know exactly what people are going through on the energetic side, because I have to go through that side. I may have a bit of an advantage in that I know how to manage my money, but you don't have to become an accountant to do that. If you've got a business, you can employ a bookkeeper and you can employ an accountant. It doesn't mean that you totally get rid of that responsibility. You still have to take responsibility for your money, for your decisions, and understanding the basics. You don't have to understand the complexities of the tax laws to work out what is the best way to go about things. But you do need to take the responsibility for understanding, right, where is my money coming from? What is the energetics of where that money is coming from? Do I enjoy earning my money from that way? Or would I prefer to be doing, because you may be earning really good money, but you may be hating every single minute of it. So how would you prefer to be earning the money? And you go, oh, I'd love to be able to be but they don't make any money. Really? Is there some reason why you can't do it? Is there some other way you can package it? Let's unpack that story that you've got about why. And does all your money have to come from there? Can you maybe have other sources of income? As I say, we're the ones who limit it. We think our employer, our clients are our source of money. They're not. Nope. They just happen to be the one pipe that the universe supplies money to us.
Right.
And when we open up to abundance coming to us from any source, we say to the universe, right, I want $10,000 this month to come from Nancy. She's going to pay me $10,000. Then I'm going to have another $5,000 from whatever. The universe goes, but Nancy actually isn't going to be the person who's going to work with you this month. We've got these other people that we want you to work with to help. And you can earn $20,000 this month. We go, oh, no. Nancy's the person. And we are fixated on that. We don't allow ourselves to be open to the different opportunities that are out there.
I often refer to it as, we're telling the universe, I want this, I want this, I want this, and I want it this way, I want it this way. And so the universe is like telling us, okay, I'm trying to give you the whole bakery, but you're only asking for the crumbs. So I'm trying to figure out how to only give you the crumbs and not the whole bakery. And it's like, we are stifling ourselves.
Yep. We set our own limitations.
Yes. This is the best, I don't know, just like the best information, the best gift, the best knowledge, the best understanding that you can get or take in is that money does not come from outside sources. It comes from internal, how you're putting out your energy, how you're receiving, your energy, what you're putting out there. It's like, all I can think of when I think of this is like the old, Aquaman cartoons way back in the 60s and 70s, when he used to call the fish and you used to see doot, 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 like that radar goes out like that and then the fish all come to him. And it's like that. Think about that. Like that's how your energy is. You have this energy and you're putting out this sonar, this doot, 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 doot. And so if you're like closed down and closed off and you can't even say the word money and you're like, no, it's got to come from X and nothing else. Well, hello, none of the fish are going to show up, So it's like, again, back to 100% responsibility. Everything that you're putting out there. What are you putting out there?
Yep. And we think, I must just say the affirmations, right? Money flows to me easily. Money does this, money does that. But inside we have this fear, and this fear is just going, and what are the ripple of emotions that are going out? Fear. I'm so scared. I don't deserve this, whatever. You ain't going to get anything if that's what you're doing. If you can set that expansion, if you can spend quiet time in meditation, in just being still. We are so busy. We've got so much on our plates and we think everything is so important except ourselves. Yes. We can't value ourselves enough to go, I'm going to spend 15 minutes with myself this morning, just being, just allowing myself to communicate with nature, with God, source, the universe, whatever we want to call it, and just allow myself that time to and then ask the question, what would you have me know? What would you have me do today? How can I be of service today? And not service from, let me give everything again. Mm-hmm. It's how can I receive, how can I give? But taking that time to just really be open to that inspiration, because our intuition is talking to us all the time. It's guiding us all the time. But when you're busy, hurry up kids, we've got to go in 5 minutes, jumping in the car, there's traffic, let me quickly do the shopping, I've got to make this meal. And then we collapse at the end of the day. When have you got time to actually receive that inspiration? When have you got time to share it? If your life is a constant rush.
And then even if you're like, okay, no, I meditate every day, but you go to the mat in that state that you're just talking about, where, you've got 5 million things on your mind. And so that's the energy that you go to the mat with. Is it any wonder that, what you're meditating on is just more havoc, more reminder of all the stuff you don't want to see in your life? It's like, you have to know who you are, the thoughts you think, the energy that you're emitting at any given moment. And just know, like, all right, this is my time to sit and meditate. This is my time to go to the mat. This is my time to appreciate. How am I doing this? Am I doing it with 100% gratitude, or am I doing it with frustration or anger or whatever? And so again, know yourself. It's so important.
Yeah. And it's prioritizing yourself as well, because as mothers, we will prioritize everybody else's needs before our own. And I haven't got time for doing that. Well, if you haven't got time to prioritize yourself and your needs, then you're not prioritizing the abundance, the money, the everything else that you can welcome into your life. And you're not being selfish by prioritizing yourself first. Because when you're setting an example for your children as to how wonderful life can be, how being open, how taking that time to look after yourself, that you are valuing yourself. If you don't value yourself to spend time with yourself, why is anybody else going to value you? Why is anybody else going to respect you? If you don't set those boundaries, nobody else is going to enforce them for you. You have to be able to know what's important to you and prioritize it and make it right. And I know everybody will have their story. Oh, you don't know my child, they don't sleep, they this, whatever. Absolutely. What can you do to create that space for yourself? Who can you ask to help you and support you?
Right.
You don't have to do this on your own. There are people out there who will help you.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
You
be
have to
open to
ask.
receiving.
You
Yes,
have to
ask and
ask.
receive. Ask and
Yeah.
receive. Absolutely. Tamsin, thank you. This has been such a delightful, wonderful conversation. I love how you're bringing the energy of money into what you do, the metaphysical and the accounting side of it, and bringing it together because, you know, for too long, people just thought it was the accounting side. You know, they didn't really understand how to marry the two. And I so appreciate how you are following your purpose and your passion and getting this information out to the world. I really appreciate what you're doing and having you in my life. I really do.
Thank you. Well, it's been wonderful. It's been a beautiful way to start my day.
Yeah, fantastic. Can you tell everybody like how to get a hold of you, where you hang out, that kind of thing, in case they want to know more about you or get a hold of you?
Yep. My favorite place to hang out is Facebook. So they can find me there under my name, Tamsin Young. And I've got a website, tamsinyoung.com. But yeah, those are probably the two ways to get hold of me. And you can always message me, email me at tamsin@tamsinyoung.com. And I am more than happy to speak to people and see how I can help them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And for all of you listening, please, if you found something of value during this conversation, subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment, let us know what you thought, because it helps other people who come across this video to kind of know, like, you know, what someone else got out of it. Remember, we are here to raise each other up. And as we take the time to watch something that's nourishing our soul and make a comment, and it leaves the opportunity for someone else to say, oh, this person thought this of this, maybe this is what I need at this time. So, you know, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, share, let other people know, because I can promise you, if there's something about this conversation that drew you in, there's something about this conversation that is meant to be shared with others as well. So we really appreciate your support, your comments, your subscribes, your likes, your shares, your anything. We love this because this is an opportunity to inspire, empower, and motivate everyone. So thank you for joining us. My name is Nancy Mueller, and I appreciate you being here. And please let us know how we can serve you. In the meantime, this is Nancy Mueller saying ciao for now.